Welcome back to the show. Luke Beasley here, filling in. You can find me at Luke Beasley on YouTube. There's an absolutely wonderful clip from late last week of Fox Business host Larry Kudlow providing what he called a mea culpa to the Fox audience about his predictions about the economy. And this is really satisfying because as fact-driven observers, I think we've been going a little insane watching Fox try desperately to ignore any positive economic developments, ignore the fact that Biden's overseen a stunning economic recovery that's outpaced comparable economies, and they just keep pushing an economic narrative that's as disadvantageous for Biden as possible. And so to finally see a Fox host admit, hey, I've spent the last couple of years, I'll admit, pushing doomsday predictions about Biden's economy and been proven wrong at every turn is really good. And in this clip, you'll see some of his past statements and then his admission that he's been wrong.
I'd say Mr. Biden inherited a boom and turned it into a bust. That's Bidenomics. So almost surely the economy is headed for a significant slump. Now, it suffered inflationary recession in the first half of 2022, may be headed for a deflationary recession next year, 2024. Look, it was a good quarter. Don't get me wrong. 3.3% beat estimates. And the last quarter was a good quarter, 4.9%. Absolutely. So he gets his due. If I were he, I'd be out slinging that hash, too. No problem. My mea culpa, I was wrong about the slowdown in the recession. So was the entire
I don't think you were wrong.
Forecasting fraternity. Well, the Fed, everyone was wrong. Okay.
So good to see. And I'll show you a couple other clips from Fox News that are similar in just a moment. But increasingly, it's looking like even many on the right are realizing the economy is not something Republicans should run on. They're still trying here and there, of course, but it just doesn't land like it used to. Unemployment has been below 4% for 2 years, which is the longest sub 4% unemployment streak we've experienced in 50 years. Black unemployment specifically at record lows. Inflation for the last 6 months has been at 2%, which is that sweet spot economically, as Pacman has explained. Wage growth right now, inflation adjusted, is stronger than it was pre-pandemic. The stock market's breaking records. So you would understand why Republicans are starting to talk a little less about Bidenomics destroying America. Now, it's important to keep in mind that often the economic situation is not necessarily tied to the president. That's, of course, the case. There's this strange pattern, though, I should note, that over the last 100 years, Democratic presidents just so happen to oversee much better economic situations than Republican presidents. Try to figure that one out. But what you have to look at is the policy of a president and a Congress and see how that's affecting the economy. And under Biden, we're defying economic expectations in part because of the actual policy record that you can dive into: American Rescue Plan, Inflation Reduction Act, Chips and Science Act, the infrastructure law. And those four in particular are absolutely contributing to the situation we're currently experiencing economically. In just 3 short years, we've gone from in the middle of a crisis to a really strong place, dominating the global economic stage, I should add. And this realization that Republicans shouldn't run on the economy in this election was articulated by a Fox News host here. Take a look.
Or 2016, rather.
The Republicans should be very careful about the messaging on the economy. Immigration, number one issue in Iowa and New Hampshire, I argue because the economy is receding in importance among the voters because it's good. Stock market at a record high. University of Michigan gauge of consumer sentiment up in 2 months, the most in more than 3 decades. And home ownership. If you own your home at a low fixed rate mortgage, 3%, and the value of your home is going up, that is wealth accumulation. And you have a fixed rate mortgage, you have a fixed payment every month, and your wages are increasing. In the monthly jobs report, 4.5% annual wage increases, fixed monthly payment on your home, your wages are going up at 4.5%. That is extra spending money. That's how you benefit from inflation. And people are out spending. And the messaging from the RNC has been way off base.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, lots to watch.
And of course, it's always important for me to point out when I cover stories like this, none of what I'm saying means that you and millions of Americans don't have real economic pain. Of course, those pains are real and absolutely present. So it's not to invalidate those. And that's why it's important, actually, to factually assess the policies of the two parties and then vote accordingly to address those economic issues that exist. To get that done, we have to have elected leaders serious about governing and getting things done to address problems. And Republicans have proven they have no interest in doing that. It's all about political stunts and nonsense culture war debates. Democrats, though, have shown in recent years a willingness and motivation to actually accomplish things that benefit Americans. And so things are looking a lot better now. That's exciting than they were a couple years ago, and compared to other countries as well. And I do think Biden Democrats should get a lot of credit for that. We can celebrate it, but then we're looking forward as well. What else needs to get done? And once again, it makes sense that we'd advocate for putting into power the people with a record to show, not just the disaster that Republicans have been in the House. Here's another example of the economic truths finally being accepted on Fox News.
One thing, though, Eric, I think to keep a really close eye on is in polling of voters now who have said for a couple of years now that the economy is top on their list of concerns. And they feel that inflation was Biden's fault. It was really the fault of the pandemic. But they blame President Biden. And they are concerned about the economy and the direction of the country and of the economy. How that concern is going to change now that you have a robust economy. 3.3% GDP growth in the fourth quarter, a incredible gangbusters employment number this past Friday. Inflation has been slashed. And that message, you and I follow it because we're in the news business, but it takes several months for the electorate, which is busy with its jobs and other responsibilities, to get the word that the economy is actually quite robust.
Yeah. I was just going to say quickly, and we're out of time now, but that's some of the Democrats are saying that message has not yet gotten across largely to the American people. The success of the economy, the record unemployment rate, as well as the bills that the president has been able to pass.
Yeah, that's right. And let's see in the next couple of months, people make their decisions, 4 to 6 months out from an election. They kind of hone in on who they want. But you still have a few months before that to get your message across, both former President Trump and President Biden. And the economy is now, for President Biden, a good story to tell.
So many great points there. It does seem people are starting to actually finally feeling the reality that we've been discussing on the data for some time. Because you can rattle off all the facts and figures in the world. That doesn't really matter until people are feeling those metrics in a meaningful and material way in their lives. And David has been making the point on the show that it's natural that this could take some time to reach people. It's reasonable that even though there have been some strong economic numbers for some time now, the reality of that will impact people on a delay. And we're sort of seeing that finally that's starting to set in. People are feeling the good news in their lives and in their material conditions, which is really, really exciting, both for people and for Biden's political prospects.
If you're like me, and I know so many of you are just like me, you hate the sticking and the rubbing that comes with traditional underwear. I'm sure most gentlemen in my audience know what I'm talking about. Our sponsor, Sheath Underwear, solves the problem. They have a patented ergonomic underwear design, separate compartments in the front. Everything stays dry, cool, and comfortable. With Sheath, you do away with the chafing and the sweating. Everything can air out and breathe and be fresh. Large variety of designs, something for everyone. The air circulation in Sheath underwear allows for a huge difference. And you've got to try it yourself to understand. I can tell you firsthand. Next level comfort down there. Sheath also now is offering super comfortable women's underwear, as well as silky smooth base layer undershirts and bottoms for men. Sheath has world-class customer service, super fast shipping, over 20,000 five-star reviews. Sheath is the perfect gift for the men and the women on your shopping list. Check it out at sheathunderwear.com/Pacman, and you'll get 20% off with the code Pacman. The link is down below.